frequently hearing that word on my mother's lips. It's only by God's mercy, she would say, that we were saved from having an accident, or it was only by God's mercy that the rain came in time for the crops to grow, etc. God's mercy. It was only by God's mercy. Like many people of that time, she seemed to live in the awareness of God's mercy, in gratitude for God's mercy. But where are the mothers and fathers in this 21st century that have mercy on their lips, as my mother did in the last century? Where has mercy gone? What has happened to make us lose our awareness of it, our natural dependence on it? For a good number of years, I've struggled with these questions. They're not just intellectual concerns for me, but they strike at the heart of what faith is all about. For example, when we go to church, we talk and act as if mercy is absolutely essential to our life of faith. It's hard to count the number of times we say, "Lord, have mercy," or something equivalent every time we celebrate Mass. Mercy is on our lips almost from the beginning to the end of our prayer in church. But what happens as soon as we go out the doors? This reality that's supposed to be essential to our life of faith doesn't seem to walk with us as we go out of church and back into everyday life. Mercy seems to stay safely in the walls of church. When we leave church, mercy seems to vanish from our lips. We hardly think about it in our everyday lives. What is going on? This reality became all the more disconcerting to me when I realized this does not happen with other gospel words we hear in church. For example, when we leave Mass to go home or go to work, gospel words like love, compassion, forgiveness, reconciliation, all these words walk with us when we leave church. They're fairly often on our minds and even on our lips, at work or at home, outside of church. What makes mercy different? Why does that stay in church and not come with us into our everyday life? This kind of split between our religious life and our regular life, it bothers me deeply. What good is it to believe something in our heads and even proclaim it on our lips in prayer if it doesn't have any connection with our everyday life? That's not the kind of gospel life Jesus came to bring, is it? The urgency I felt to do something about this split with regard to mercy probably goes back to an experience I had in the early days of my priesthood. I was in graduate school in a group of religious sisters and brothers. I was the only priest and the only one with a degree in theology. With my background, I would often expound in our class discussions on some dimension of faith or spirituality, and I'd usually be quite impressed with how well I was doing. Only to hear the group say, "Dan, you are out of your mind." In my intellectualism, it took a while for me to understand what they were saying, but it was simply this: "Dan, all these nice-sounding things you talk about, they're only in your head. They've not gotten down into your heart."